Accelerate execution in every area of your business, or, in other words, how to turn a cloud. Why a cloud? We're going to talk about that in a minute. CEOs agree their biggest issue is strategic execution. It's not anymore deciding what to do. Most executives know what they need to do. The issue is getting it done faster, better, cheaper than the competition. This is what we call strategic execution. Getting done the exact right thing at the exact right speed. That is the whole game. But a typical organization has undertaken 5 major changes in the past 3 years. Employees and leaders are change fatigued. Even the phrase, the only constant is change, is exhausting. I hate hearing that. I hate talking about change. Change consultants are the worst. Yet 50 to 90% of change initiatives fall short or fail completely. This costs companies billions of dollars in direct and indirect losses. And this doesn't just affect your company, it affects you personally. Key initiatives are very rarely delivered by the person that kicked them off. Average executive tenure is shorter than the life of most change initiatives. We see here that the average C-suite tenure is 4.9 years, and the average change duration is about 6 years. And this is actually really sad if you think about the fact that we, in organizations, hire and appoint our best and our brightest to lead our biggest change, and yet consistently see them flame out and see these things handed over, delivered by someone else, burn out the entire team that did it, take 3 times longer than we thought it should. And yet these are our best people. And this is not an aberration. This isn't just something that randomly happened to you. This is a consistent theme. It happens almost every time. Why? Execution is hard. Change fails. Your organization is change fatigued. So what do you do? What do you do next? To increase momentum and strategic execution, you need to be able to move people. Here's why. All execution is about moving the right individuals, not one organizational lump. You don't just move the one whole company in one lump. I hear this all the time in companies. Executives talk about turning the aircraft carrier or the oil tanker. I see this in banking, in technology, in fintech. Every executive was, well, we have to turn the oil tanker. So I Googled it. Aircraft carriers are surprisingly easy to turn. You can turn an aircraft carrier around in 3 minutes. Let's leave aside the fact that many tech and banking executives that I know have massive nautical blind spots that could cause us, real issues in an open sea battle. And let's move on to change, because change can feel much more like turning a cloud. I told you I'd get to the cloud. Clouds are collections of individual people, like water droplets, all loosely bound together. Like, how do you turn this thing? How do you, an oil tanker has like a wheel and a rudder. That's easy, right? A cloud, what do you push on? You blow at it? Do you grab it? Do you waft something at it? Like, how do you move this thing? Especially if it's a really big cloud with a couple 100,000 people in it. And there's winds coming. It's not intuitive, right? We routinely see executives fumble for the right levers. Tools, buzzwords, consultants, and thought leaders. By the law of averages, if you're picking something at random, you're likely going to miss. Right? And I see all these words: PMO, management, execution, alignment, politics, communication, governance, OKRs, innovation, culture, leadership, trust. All of these things have the same root issue. And yes, I did write a word cloud to move the actual cloud, which is also a metaphorical cloud. We have 2 metaphorical clouds here fighting it off. What you really need to do, and what all of these things are trying to do, is move people. So if we focus on the output, not the input, not what are we trying to do? Like, we're not trying to do alignment. We're trying to get the company to go in the right direction. We're not dealing with politics. We're trying to increase, happiness, well-being, engagement. We're not trying to do any of those things. We're trying to get the job done. When you learn the hidden levers to do this cloud moving business, the impossible becomes easy in every area. In your individual life, in your team, and in your organization. You become the most effective executive in your organization. You can lead the most dynamic, capable, and fulfilling team. and outperform the competition in every way. I have seen this. I've been doing this for many, many years across many different companies, big companies that you heard of, we'll talk about at the end. I guarantee that this works. How do we do it? You can increase momentum by mastering how to move people. Let me take you through this in a few short steps. When a problem is oversimplified, the solution is oversimplified. And I see this in business all the time. We decide what to do, and then we'll just all go do it. It's simple, right? And it becomes a two-step dance. Strategic planning and project management. We have McKinsey or Bain come in, they tell us what to do, they give us a big thick book, they come and talk to everybody agrees, yep, let's do that. And then we give it to the PMO, we give it to managers, and we say, go do that, and then we're shocked when none of it happens, or it happens really, really slowly, or it gets derailed, or so many things can go wrong. Really, really good, exceptional leaders bridge this gap, this madness between strategic planning and project management, and this oversimplification of what is the root of business. But there's so many people moving components in that, right? How do you cascade the vision, do management, build trust, communicate, execute, align, good governance, innovate, teamwork, culture, vision, OKRs again, politics. How do we deal with all of this? And so leaders are asked to do so many different things all at once. There is a predictable layer of informal or soft activities that shift people to unlock results. If we look across strategic planning, leadership, and project management, there's these 4 areas that we look at how you can shift the people to get this done faster. I call these optimization, alignment, mobilization, and breakthrough. These activities mirror the strategy. They vastly improve execution speed and outcomes. So let's go through those 4 examples, how you can take your organization to the next level by effortlessly shifting your people in 4 areas. Number 1, optimize your strategy. The formal top-down market analysis strategy by the big strat houses should be paired with a bottom-up strategic review sourced from your own team. This internal check of what should we be working on has really, really useful benefits. First of all, it's more company specific, and it's a creative exercise that enables you to really dig into what you should be doing. So it's in its own right, it's a really valid strategy exercise. 2, engage your team to increase motivation and reduces the negative impact of an external process. It's so demotivating for a team to come in and be told by a bunch of brand new MBAs working for a big strat house what they should be doing, when your team have probably been yelling for a long time about what they need to do. That yelling is also important to find out because, number 3, you need to read the internal agendas because your team internally have been yelling what they should be doing. Everybody has a hobby horse. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody has an opinion. And when you just do it top down, it doesn't take into account this. So just doing a bottom up process too that engages everyone enables you to hear what those are. And you don't have to do them all, but at least you know where they are. And so you can adapt. You can work around them. You can trade horses, you can mollify it, you can help, you can engage. You have so many more options open to you because now you can see where you're really coming from. And when you compare the two, the top-down and the bottom-up strategy, you can highlight key internal gaps and strengths in the team's ability to execute. Why did your team not suggest something that a big strat house did? Is it competence? Is it vision? Is it belief? What's happening? And I think we overlook this people moving part of the strategy. When we build the strategy without the people don't go with it. And you immediately are setting off on the wrong foot. And you wonder later why it didn't work. Well, you already disempowered everybody that matters in the first week. But you got the right answer. Good for you, right? So optimizing your strategy for the people in your business, I think, is a huge step that's always overlooked. Number 2, align your senior stakeholders. Ensure initial and ongoing air cover from your board, C-suite, and other stakeholders to accelerate your execution and avoid potential derailment. There's a little bit of management speak in that, but let's look at it this way. If you want to get something done in your organization, and you're going to push through a big change, an integration, new culture, new strategy, whatever it is that you want to push through, it's very likely that you're going to get derailed at some point. And a big cause of that derailment is from the top down. And so the aligning up is really important. I think a lot of executives just look at, hey, let's just get the green light to do this project. And yeah, that's fine once you get the green light. But I've seen so many corporate change projects where they get the green light and then, somebody wanders off, like an executive leader changes their mind a couple years later, or promises are made that are then rescinded, or it drags out forever. So how can you get a go, no go decision faster on a large change initiative, right? How do you get it in weeks rather than months and years? How do you reduce the odds of later reversals? How do you lock it in and find out what is going to derail this later? And how do you create effective contingency and influencing strategies to continue to manage this through? Because the skill it takes to open up a new project like this is not always the same skill as is required to keep it going. Third, how do you mobilize your organization? Let's say we've got the strategy, we've got it signed off from the top, and now we want to go. How do you cascade that through? How do you continue to engage and cascade and get everybody to really buy in? So how do you remove blockers and ensure buy-in to effortlessly cascade your will through the organization? You need to create absolute clarity and transparency to remove hidden surprises. You need to match a performance culture with a human-centric approach that unlocks the ability and discretionary effort of each. In other words, how do you make sure that a lot of work gets done and people suffer? And two, everyone's super excited to do that, right? This has been done. People know how to do this. Have you got this in your organization? 3, increase team performance to accelerate delivery and remove obstacles. What happens if you get this done 10% faster, 50% faster, 100% faster? What would that mean for you, for your business, for your customers, for the world? And how do you, unlock critical formal and informal influences through the organization? Well, what is the map? If you were to look at where you could spend a little bit of time to greatly accelerate your progress and to remove risk from your organization, how would you do that? The last piece is, how do you get back on track? What happens if you go sideways? What happens if you pick up some change that's really got some negative momentum going? And the hard thing with negative momentum and change, especially in corporate cultures, is it can cause this death spiral if not addressed. Positive results are the solution, but how can you get them when it's already in this death spiral, right? You already aren't getting the excitement and the buy-in from the senior executives. The staff aren't excited. The board aren't bought in. You haven't got the resources you need. How can you understand and create an action plan to deal with the root causes of that lack of momentum? How do you map a solution that works for everyone? And how do you tailor an ongoing strategy to get the execution done and get this thing back on track? How can I help you unleash this organizational momentum? So I've solved this problem for the past 20 years across finance, tech, and engineering organizations of all kind and on every continent. I've worked with Barclays, AECOM, Zelle, Disney. You can see the logos here. I've been very blessed in my career, and I've worked on pretty much every continent except clearly Antarctica. None of these companies are currently have headquarters in Antarctica, but maybe another time. My customers are very nice to me. Before he helped us, we had a big change consultancy come in. James did more for us in a week on his own than their team of 5 did in 3 months. Next time, I'll just call James. It's like watching a magic trick. He leans over and tells you what other people are about to do, and then it happens. I've never seen anything like it. James made me $1 million personally in one 15-minute conversation. Using James' tools is like bringing a gun to a knife fight, and a rocket launcher, and a tank, and some F-16s. And honestly, I felt the same way when I learned these tools, and I didn't originate all these tools. I learned these. I picked these up from other executives around the world that I've been working with for the last 20 years. And as you go through and you do a lot of these changes, you keep finding the best practice. How did you do that? What worked there? How did you do that? And so you collect these tools. And I remember when I first came out of MBA and started really working with some other really, really smart people who really pioneered a lot of this. I was blown away. Same thing, which is like, it's like being a Jedi. You can walk into a room, you can wave a hand, and suddenly like things happen that you just had no idea that was possible before. So how can I help you when times get tough? what would happen if you, your team, your organization delivered at twice the speed while everyone else slowed down, wading through ambiguity and frustration? And I ask that question because that's what's about to happen in 2023. As things slow down, as we start to lay off people, as the world gets more uncertain, what does everybody in corporate anywhere do? They slow down. Much safer to go slow, see what's happening, reassess, take a beat, fire some people. What happens if you press forward through that ambiguity? Where would you be? Where would your company be if you were able to push through that ambiguity and really, really deliver some exceptional things while everybody else is uncertain and waiting to see what happens? I help you in 3 ways. One-to-one coaching individually, team facilitation, which basically do the same thing, but it's just a question of whether you want me to work with you and then you do it with your team, or I come and sit next to you and we work with your team together. Or number 3, consulting for a whole organization, which is working with multiple teams, multiple leaders, and cascading this much further. Unfortunately, I can't help everyone. So I used to fly teams all around the world to do this. These days I work solo because I found it more fulfilling. I've got greater impact, my customers like it more, I like it more. I spend all my time focusing on what matters. The downside is space is limited and I have to focus. And so I can take on about 1 consulting customer a quarter. Coaching, I have several spots open right now. I don't know how long this video is going to be online, so I won't tell the exact numbers, but we can talk about it. The bottom line is, who do I work with? I can work with senior executives, CEOs, leaders of business units, and this works best with knowledge working companies. So anywhere where people make the real difference, finance, fintech, banking, media have really been the core companies that I've worked in over the years, although I have worked in a few others. But I find that other companies like manufacturing, construction, logistics, where clearly people are important in every industry and they do make the difference, but where it's more systems based and more technology based on some of the other sides, where more creativity, innovation, and being able to move boldly through ambiguity really, really, really helps some of these other knowledge working companies. So that's where I try to find my time. These principles work for everyone, but unfortunately, if you're not in that core unit, I won't be able to help you. So if this is you, you can book an exploration call today. I'm going to put a link somewhere. I'm pointing, you can't see me. It's going to be the bottom of the screen, on the screen. I'll put a link up. And if you'd like to see more, if you'd like to understand more of what I'm doing, if everything I just spoke about sounds a little like I was talking in another language, here's the links. I post a lot. You can see all my content. GetShiftDone.substack.com is my free newsletter. You can sign up for that. I tweet at I am James Greaves. You can see me on LinkedIn at I am James Greaves, and my website, which conveniently enough is also called James Greaves. That's me. Looking forward to helping you solve your problems in 2023. Let me know how I can help. Book an exploration call. If you're not sure, we can get on the phone. We can talk about it. Maybe I'll give you a couple of pieces of advice that go in the right direction. I always like to hear challenges and talk to interesting people. Thank you for your time. Best of luck.